What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, Sugar Ray. And G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we take a look back at the first time comedians took the stage with this week's guest, Joey Coon. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson. Welcome to Done Way Past Funny. My co-host Sugar Ray is still at the airport. Whenever you are watching this, it does not matter. He is still at the airport, so he's not going to be here. I'm going to dock his pay. So like Billy Preston would say, nothing from nothing leaves. But I have my special guest and a friend of mine. And when I say friend, I don't mean it like I would help him move or anything like that. What I mean is if he wants to, if he doesn't owe me any money and he hasn't stolen any jokes from me. So very good personal friend. And I love him to death because of that. Joey Coon.
Thanks, brother. I'm glad we're on good terms. I don't owe you any money yet. I'll keep it that way.
And you've never stolen a joke from me?
No, not that you know of. It's true.
Oh, sorry. So, tell people about yourself real quick. How long you been in comedy, and a little bit about yourself, because we'll get into some more nitty gritty as we watch your segment.
Yeah, I'm Joey Coon. I'm a green comic, right? I'm still talking in months. Like I'm talking about my 2-year-old toddler, right? I'm like 15 months in. But I'm a married guy with 3 kids, and I wanted to sort of maximize the amount of time I could spend on stage, given all sorts of other, work and family constraints. So we started a little thing called Dead Horse Comedy here in the Washington, D.C. area. So we've got a weekly open mic and a monthly showcase. And that's been a great opportunity for me to just get some stage time, practice the craft, try stuff out, and obviously an awesome opportunity to interact with lots of comics like you and make lots of new friends and watch folks who've been doing this a lot longer than me and see how they do it and learn the craft and the tricks. So it's been great.
Now, for the benefit of the people who've actually read my mission statement, when I say I want people who've been, I basically interview people who've been doing comedy at least 3 years, because there's takes at least 3 years to get the writing down and to establish to find yourself as your writing style. But the reason why I wanted you, Joey Coon, on is because you run your own show and you've been doing it for a while. You have seen a lot of comics do the very thing that you're trying to learn to do it yourself. You don't mind me saying trying to learn to do.
Right.
So you've watched a lot of experienced comics, so it kind of gives you like a shorthand, almost like a fast track. And so that's why I brought you on, even though you hadn't been on for my 3-year threshold. But my last interview been a comedian for 41 years, so I think it averages out to 3 years.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's how long I've been alive.
See, so you live at a time when your first set actually could be captured on video.
That which is great and perilous at the same time, right?
Yeah. See, and so some of the comedians, even though it says I want their first clip, if you've been doing it long enough, there's no such thing as a first clip, because you're probably, first of all, I'm going to show people something that they probably have not seen. This. Oh God. This is what we used to be able to record sets on. And this was the shit when I got this. I got this, God, man, I can't even, in the 80s, maybe 90s. I can't remember when I got this, but this was the shit. This was high tech, and this was considered small. I'm trying to see how far back I have to hold this so people can see that this was small. Okay, this was the shit. Okay, this held a VHS tape, and this was the bomb. Okay,
Yeah. Record a
so
set, bludgeon somebody to death. It looks
yes,
familiar. Like
yes,
my parents chasing us around Disneyland, right, with that on their
yes,
shoulder.
yes, and so and before that, oh, people didn't have, before there was even video cameras, they had to record their sets, the audio sets, you're on a cassette recorder. Okay, so
It's a lot of gear you had to carry around.
well, it's the funny thing is and I really do, well, this is my comedy office, so this shit is just laying around. So you're fortunate to be in a time when you can Google comedians. You can see that, you can fast track. Uh, I don't. I didn't mean. I didn't mean to go there. I didn't mean to go there. I apologize. I'll edit it out.
To the tech?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm just basically saying that you're at a blessed time in the sense that uh, you get to, if you like a certain comedian, you don't have to wait for him to come to town. You can actually look him up and Google him and stuff like that.
Right.
But back in the day, if you wanted to see a comedian, you had to wait till he came into town, or may not even hear of him until he comes to town. And when your friends drags him and goes, "No, man, there's this guy, you may have heard of him, George Carlin."
That's right.
Never heard of George Carlin. What's he do? He's a comedian. No, and you wait, and you get your ticket. But now,
Yeah. I mean, even when I was young, it was just like Carlin or maybe Bill Cosby records, right? Like on vinyl, and
yes,
that was that. And now you can pretty much listen to any comedian that anyone's heard of for free on your phone.
that's yeah. So I sidetracked because that's not one of the questions I had here.
I got
Um,
you.
but that's beside the point. All right. Um, the clip that we're going to start to watch. You want to set that up real quick where it was recorded? Um, how did you know you were going to record? First, did you know you were going to go there in advance, or
Yeah,
like?
and you're gonna have to wait and cut some of this while I think of the name of the venue because I definitely have to think of it because it's a friend's spot. Yeah, so it was my first ever set, first time I ever told jokes in the microphone. It was at a place called Farouk's Lounge in Northern Virginia, and it's a weekly mic run by a good friend and very funny comic, Latif Idris. I don't know if you know Latif. So yeah, I showed up with my Dead Horse
I knew
comedy
him back
partner.
when he was baby Latif before he grew him in. He was just,
Oh yeah, I
I'm just
bet,
teasing.
man.
No, no.
I was in a baby Latif. I was wondering, was there
Yeah,
another
baby
Latif?
Latif, but now
Yeah.
then he fell out and it got to be he's just Latif now. I'm sorry. That's no.
So Danny Fernandez, who's my sort of partner in crime at Dead Horse, who'd been doing comedy a little longer than me, we went together and introduced ourselves to Latif and put our names on the list. Went up like 20 something or other at the mic, and it was nerve wracking fun.
You went up like after 20, 21, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So you were you were like deep
I
in
was
in
deep. There were
so
still some normies enjoying their meals, right? So that was nice to have some non comics there. But it was yeah, it was probably a little sparse by the time I went up.
so how would you have rather gone up early? Because did you get like more nervous watching the people as you came along? Go like,
I think I got a little less nervous. I think I assumed that everybody just went up and crushed with their, super tight 5-minute set.
mm-hmm.
And it was just a bunch of folks, different ages, different experience levels, just trying shit out. And a lot of it, as you know, doesn't work. And I just thought to myself, like, I can go up there and tell jokes that don't work. This is going to be fine. That's the worst that can happen. So
The worst that can happen is that someone records it and you'll be on here talking about it.
this is, yeah, right. You're a sadist. This is terrible. I'd rather watch a video of my parents, divorce proceedings.
Oh, believe me, you'd be surprised, or you wouldn't be surprised how many people I invite them on the show and they'll go like, "Yeah, I'd love to come on. What do you want to? What do you talk about now?" So we watch your first set. They're like, "Oh no, no." I said, "No, but I said, but we're not roasting you. We're discussing it. Like, no, I can't watch it again. No, but it's an educational thing. We're so that you can look back upon it and we discuss it and you go, no, I just can't. No, I can't.
I get it. I'm excited, but I also get it because it's tough to listen to a set that you did a week ago, 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be painful fun.
All right, so here we go. This is Joey Coon's first time doing this. See y'all on the other side.
Yikes. I was told this is karaoke night and I was going to crush Sweet Caroline, but this is cool too. So I'm a veteran, and you're probably thinking cook, army accountant, dude who plays the bugle in the morning, but I'm actually a combat soldier, which I guess tells you a lot about army recruiting standards. But now I'm a married guy with 3 kids. They're 7, 5, and 3. All boys, and I mean dudes, just choking each other all day, every day. It's amazing when you remember that you did this to yourself on purpose. War is loud, but my kids are louder. If you locked a terrorist in a room with my 3 boys but only 1 iPad, it would be a war crime. But being a parent is also cool, right? It's the only job I know I can keep, no matter how terrible I am at it. And kids are amazing for a marriage. I know people say the opposite, but they are amazing for a marriage because sometimes the spark you need is a common enemy. And I'm not saying my kids are like Nazi Germany, right? That is lazy, played out comparison. I'm just saying that the alliance my wife and I have is exactly like Churchill and Stalin. My wife hates that analogy. She's horrified that I might compare her to Churchill. But weirdly cool with being Stalin. It used to be Stalin's upstairs in bed early, tired after a long day, super pissed that Churchill's downstairs getting stoned and hasn't taken out the trash. But now, we got these maniacs, and they are threatening our very way of life. And so we got to team up, right? When my oldest son was probably 3, he said, I gotta tell you a secret. So I leaned in and he said, I wish you were my dad. And I should have said, keep talking like that, I'll drop you off at the playground where I found you. But he caught me off guard, I didn't think of that. I thought of that much later. And so he kept saying that. I wish you were my dad, like year after year. Hurt my feelings a little, right? But one day he said, Daddy, I want to tell you something. You're my only daddy. And I leaned in, I gave him a hug, and I said, thanks, buddy. I love you. But really I'm thinking, what the fuck happened to that other guy? Because I have not been saving for your college.
I'm glad Danny's holding the phone close to his face, so there's laughter.
It's funny because that throws me off every time because I know that you're muted and I'm muted and I hear him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's
You think that I'm just giggling to my own?
Well, because I know I shouldn't hear you, but yeah. I've watched it several times. But I've watched this 3 or 4 times now. See, so you think, yeah, I'm a glutton.
We are good friends, man.
Yeah, so I've watched this 3 or 4 times. And every time I watch it, I turn around. When I hear him, I do this because it's like it just doesn't sound like.
This creepy Danny Fernandez over your left
Yeah.
shoulder.
And the worst thing is I'm home by myself. My wife is gone on vacation. So it's just me and my cat. And I hear another voice and we're like, so first of all, I like the comparison to the kids being louder than a war. and the comparison and the common enemy theme. Now, so you were a combat soldier in the military?
Yeah, I was in the Army. One tour in Iraq. I was cavalry and artillery. So that all finds its way into my sets from time to time.
Yeah, because well, full disclosure, I know some other material of his that's military related.
That's right.
Like based on his name.
Yeah. Comes up. I'm always looking for ways to branch out into things that aren't my name, the military, and my children, because those can dominate.
But that's true. But children are going to dominate anyway, and they will never not be a good source of entertainment if you know how to look at it. But on the other hand, the material that you do about your kids 10, 12 years from now, would you want them to hear what you think about them?
No, I'm gonna have to do a social media scrub by the time gain access.
Now, how old your oldest is what, 8 or 9 now?
So 8, 6, and 4.
8, 6, and 4.
Right.
So your oldest one will be on social media in about 2 years. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, he's close, man. He spends, not a great amount of time on a tablet, I have to admit. But yeah, he'll eventually have access to the wider web. So I'll figure that out one day.
Are you funny to your kids?
I'm funny to one of my kids. I'm just really embarrassing to the other.
Which one? I mean, your favorite, right? That's your favorite kid.
Yeah.
Is that really your favorite? Yeah. Are you really funny to that kid, or is that kid going like, he's going to die soon? I want in.
Dude, I love all my kids the same. I just at any given moment hate one the most. Right? That's
See, you're nice. My mom didn't. My mom told me her favorite was my oldest. I wasn't her least favorite. That was my brother Bryant. He was the least favorite.
Yeah.
She told us. She made no bones about it. She says any parent that doesn't have a favorite child is lying, and she told us why the kids were. She says, "Cookie's my favorite because she's my firstborn. Ralph is my second favorite because he's my firstborn son."
I see the pecking order here.
Yeah,
You're setting expectations though. That's that's not so bad.
Yeah, I was.
You weren't last, so that's
no. I was not. Yeah, I was not the least favorite, but I was the most difficult. I was So
well, that says something that you were difficult and not the least favorite. So you had a lot going for you.
That's the personality. It's the hair. No, it's the discipline in the military. Getting having a routine. Because that's pretty much it. Let's put it this way. In my mind, the military is socialism and routine for the most part. And I'll say socialism not in what people think is a bad way, but in the sense that the weakest link in your spittoon, is that what it is? A spittoon? No. You want them to be as strong. You want everybody to be strong. You don't want that weak link. So you try to take that weak link and you make them stronger and you make them better, but it doesn't affect the whole group.
Right. No individual, really, right? You're like a collective that needs to be efficient at whatever it's trying to do.
Which is almost the opposite of comedy.
It's also the opposite of the military because there's nothing efficient about it. All right.
Yes.
Hence, endless material about the military trying to be one thing, or the perception of it being one way, and it's a giant cluster. So yeah.
So what sucked you in?
To the military?
I asked you first.
Or comedy?
Military, then comedy.
Oh man.
I'm asking the same question, but about both.
Yeah. So long story, super short. I was just not the kind of guy to join the military. I mean, when I was 18, my senior year of high school, they send you that selective service form, right? Which is like, in case there's a draft, I'm saying, cool, I'll go wherever. I refused to sign that, and they sent me letters saying, all right, great, but we will potentially put you in prison for a couple years and fine you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I wrote this, like, I don't know, grandstandy, moralistic response letter to the Selective Service Department, basically, tell them to stick it in their ear. And then I just forgot about it, which is not smart when they're threatening prison sentences. And then 9/11 happened, and
Right.
that kind of changed a lot. And I don't know, man. It affected all of us in different ways. One of the ways it affected me is I kind of wanted some control, feel like I was doing something bigger. I don't know exactly what I was thinking, but I joined up. When I signed up, my recruiter was like, "Hey, you got to fill out this paperwork, blah blah blah." He goes into the system and he's like, "For some reason, we don't have you signed up for selective service, and you're like 24." Like, oh yeah, that never did put me in prison. So I did end up signing that. I did, but and then I was in the army for 8 years, National Guard, one full deployment to Iraq, and then I got out, grew my hair long, got rid of all that discipline, and that was that, man.
So when you got into comedy, how long were you out of the military, and was that therapeutic because of the military, or was it just you've always wanted to do comedy, or was it just, I mean, what got you to do the comedy? Like,
So when I got in, I've been out of the military for like 15 years. So
oh, okay.
distant rear view by that point. I've always loved comedy. I used to listen to comedy albums on my record player as a kid, or sneak peek Carlin over my parents' shoulders when I was younger. And I don't know, we all like to make our friends laugh. There's just nothing that feels better than I don't know, cracking up a bunch of people, telling a story. We all have like those go-to stories that we have throughout our lives that pop up, and I didn't think that it was just the thing you can do. Honestly, I thought like stand-up comedy just seemed like straight up magic, right? uh, and it seems so off the cuff and improvisational that I never really thought about it until my good buddy Danny, who I mentioned is the co-founder of Dead Horse Comedy. He took a stand-up class at the DC Improv, and he showed me his sort of graduation set, and I was like, holy shit, you can like learn about this and just go up there and practice and do it. And so from then on, it was just really fun to kind of study the craft as much as you can, reading lots of books, listening to lots of other people's sets, and trying to crack the code, figure out how they did it, right? What looks super conversational and unplanned is incredible skill. And learning how to do a poor version of that and improve it over time is just a lot of fun.
Now, what got you into producing shows?
I want stage time. Gonna be honest. Like I said, I'm a married dude with 3 kids, full-time job. I interact with lots of awesome comedians who are in their 20s who grind, and I have tons of respect for them. They can hit 2-3 mics in a night. It's amazing. I cannot do that. So I wanted to just sort of maximize the time that I could devote to comedy, and one of those ways was to just basically set up shop a quarter mile from my house and start an open mic. And then the showcases were a great way to perform in front of normal people and then to interact with lots of comedians who've been doing it a lot longer, who are really worth sort of watching and studying, and that hang out after and give lots of advice and help critique and give feedback. So it's been awesome.
Now, in the set that we just watched, because that was not a traditional stage.
No, it's a different room. So it's Latif's weekly mic at Farou's Lounge, and it's Farou's Lounge is a restaurant and a hookah bar, right? So like
Right.
all the tables are basically booths along each wall, and so there's that big center area
Right.
with a corded mic, and I don't know, maybe most of the comics that night probably just planted their feet and told some jokes, but I think maybe it was a nervous tick that night. I was just sort of pacing the length of the room the whole time.
It's the military training. You're looking for,
Yeah, that's right.
we're looking for a clean shot. It's like I can't get
Marching back and
I've been
forth.
out for 15 years. And I just can't stop thinking of shooting people. No, take him out first, and then she'll stick around.
That's right.
And to help him, and then you take her out too. No, because if you take her out first, she's just gonna run.
No, she's the one laughing. She's got to stay. Yeah.
Now, before I go to the next clip, I'm going to ask you something. I already told you that I was going to ask you this. A friend of yours, when I was after one of the open mics, a friend of yours says that your wife is funnier than you. Now, I don't know if he was being sarcastic or if he was serious. And if this is true, is she? Well, first of all, is she funnier than you?
My wife is definitely very funny. And yeah, I think she's funnier than me, just in conversation, doing her thing. She's just a super quick wit, dry, and very funny. Yeah, I'd love to get her on stage. She's come to the mic a few times, and a few times she's had enough to drink that she thought about it and even like wrote down some jokes and stuff. So I'll make it happen.
Now, because my next question is, because if she does and she kills, are you going to stay together until the kids are 18?
Yeah, that's right. No, when I first told her I wanted to do stand-up comedy, she just sort of watched that show, Marvelous Miss Maisel. And I don't know if you've seen his show.
Yeah.
But that show begins by the dude, the husband, tries stand-up. He's freaking terrible at it. She goes to support him, and then just like ends up on stage, and of course she kills and becomes famous and awesome. So my wife is like, "Oh, you're gonna do stand up? Oh God, I'm gonna be a star." I'm like, thanks.
And
hon.
so, does she critique you, or does she offer you advice?
No.
Is that by design, or she just knows how you would react? Be all pouty and
I wouldn't be pouty.
Okay.
I'll test jokes. I mean, you know how it is. It's kind of weird. At least I think it's kind of tough testing out material on like close friends and family, right? Like either they already get all of your context as a human, right? So like you already have a leg up. They're looking at the joke a different way.
Right.
You've got a freaking dark joke where you're saying you're a serial killer, and they're like, I know you're not actually a terrible person. So I don't know that I feel like a lot of feedback I get from non-comedians in my life is not necessarily representative of how things are going to go when I try it out on stage. So.
And something had happened in my marriage, and I told my wife, I said, "Oh, this is going to be funny," and she goes, "It's not funny." I said, "No, it's not funny to you because it involves us, but it's funny. I'm telling you, this is funny." And so she goes, "It's not funny. It's not funny at all." So I did it at an open mic, and I record all my sets.
Right.
I record all my sets. So, and it kills the story. They're just laughing. And so I take it home, and I said, "Honey, I want you to see something." And I hit play, and she's watching it, and they just bust out laughing. And she goes, "Still not funny."
Unwavering.
Yeah.
I've had that experience where my wife's in the room, like at a mic or at the show, where I will try out a joke and see, especially if it's a joke that I have some concern she's going to be displeased about. That maybe it's about my fake stage wife, right? And things are bad or something. And I've had times where she's like, "Nah, that's not it. That's not the one." And then she's at the mic. I tell that joke. It goes over really well. She's wrapped up in it, right? She's with the crowd. The crowd's laughing. She's laughing, and it's just a different thing.
What does your wife find offensive about your stuff other than the made up wife?
I mean, I talk about family, marriage, kids. I get pretty dark, which I don't think she's got like a super biting, dry, quick wit, which is great. And I just tend to go a little dark sometimes, and I don't think that's her preference. And I think
Where's-
she's amazed that some of that stuff works with an actual audience.
Well, I guess because we all have a little darkness in us, and we need to let it out to play. We need to let it out to play.
And hopefully, by the time I get there in a set, I've established that I'm moderately likable, reasonable human before I,
I don't see that.
do the
No, I'm
deep
just
dive.
teasing. No. No, moderately. No.
Maybe that's the problem. She doesn't believe those things to be true. So she's
No.
like, "Nah, this is scary. Whatever what you're saying is scary."
Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and co-host of Done Way Past Funny. You have just watched part 1 of our interview with the moderately likable and reasonable Joey Coon of Dead Horse Comedy. Please join us for part 2, and when you come back to join us, bring a friend. In the meantime, if you should happen to see my co-host Sugar Ray in the airport, please do not feed him. Just send him home. He's almost out of deodorant.